You are now listening to Playbook Radio. Here is your host, Martin Williams.
And welcome to Playbook Radio. My name is Martin Williams. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. You can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. All the links to the podcast can be found at gameplanplaybook.com. That's gameplanplaybook.com. So today what I wanted to talk to you about is why mental conditioning matters. Now, a lot of people know about mental conditioning. They know how people in sports use it, people in all walks of life, business owners, CEOs use mental conditioning to stay at the top of their game. Sometimes it's called mental performance, whatever term you want to put on it. It's basically working with the mind. Just like we have personal trainers for the body, your mind needs training as well. And if you don't train your mind, then, you can definitely be susceptible to low performance or, making mistakes, things of that nature. So it's important that you get your mind right before you attempt to do anything. So think of your body. If you try to run a marathon and you've never ran before, the likelihood of you finishing that marathon is low because your body's not trained for that, right? A marathon is 26 miles. So if you can't run 1 mile, what makes you think you're going to run 26? And in the same token, I think that sometimes people don't think about the fact that for you to do something big, your mind has to be trained in order to pull that off. Okay. It's not that you can't do it, but I think part of the reason why things take as long as they do is because it's not that the thing itself took a long time. It's that the person had to get into the right mindset, and that's what took a long time. I've talked about, I've talked about how long it takes a football player to go pro, right? So usually the average football player starts playing football around 10 years old, and they become a pro around the age of 22. So usually about 11 to 12 years it takes them in order for them to go pro. Now, the reason that it takes that long, even though there's rules in place that, you can't be but so old to get drafted or to get a scholarship. If you think about it, if a person or, if a football player was talented enough to get a scholarship, would they make an exception? Of course they would, right? There used to be that high school players didn't get drafted for the longest time, and then they went back on that rule because several high school players who were coming out of high school were good enough to go pro. Kevin Garnett was one, Kobe Bryant was another, and of course, the most decorated one, along with Bryant, is LeBron James. These players were dominant in high school. But why were they able to go pro? Well, part of it was they had the physical gifts and the physical makeup to be able to withstand the NBA because, in the NBA, you're playing against grown men, right? And just because you dominated teenagers doesn't mean you're going to dominate a grown man. It's going to take you a while to get to that point, but they were ready because of their physical attributes, but also their mentality. Okay. Kobe Bryant was used to the attention. By the time he was a senior in high school, he was used to newspapers and used to media attention. Now, it was a little bit different because the internet isn't what it is now, but, he took Brandy, the famous singer, took her to prom. He was frequently in the news for a variety of things, all of which were good, when he was in high school, right? LeBron James, similar situation. Sports Illustrated did a write-up on him when he was a sophomore, I believe. Adidas had reached out about a shoe deal. And, there were several instances where corporations were already contacting LeBron James, when he was a teenager, when he was only 12, 13 years old. He got scholarship offers, the whole 9 yards. My point, where am I going with this, is that these guys had the mentality to handle the NBA because of the amount of attention that comes with being in the NBA. And it's not just media attention, it's just everyone. Everyone knows who you are now. You're no longer anonymous when you're in the NBA and when you're in professional sports because people have heard about you, that some people read up on you. So there's a mentality that comes with being able to be successful in pro sports. So anything that you want to do, there's a certain mentality that has to come with that. And if you don't have that mentality, even though you may be able to do the technical aspects of it, I can shoot a basketball, I can rebound, I can dribble, but can I do it at the level of an NBA player? And the answer is no. Can I, do I have the stamina to play 82 games a year or every other night or every third night, sometimes back to back nights? Most of the time, the most time off you're going to have is like 3 days. Do I have the stamina to do that? And the answer is no, I don't. I work out, I go to the gym, but I don't have that stamina, right? The bottom line is that just like you have to have physical stamina, you have to have mental stamina. And you have to have the mental stamina to do these things that you want to do. You want to start a business. Okay, great. You got a great idea. Okay, great. But do you understand what comes with that? Do you understand that you have to constantly be looking for income opportunities? You have to constantly be innovating, coming up with different products and services. You have to constantly, be able to be competitive in a competitive landscape. A lot of people say, well, you shouldn't be competing. And I understand what they're trying to get at, but the bottom line is that the marketplace is competitive. And there are people who, especially if they see that you're successful, will mimic and copy what you do, which means you have to continue to innovate. You have to continue to be exceptional. And that takes mental stamina. You have to have the mental stamina to overcome rejection, to overcome indifference when people aren't listening or watching your videos or listening to you, whatever it is you put out or not buying what it is you put out. You have to have a certain level of discipline and mental stamina to essentially keep going in the face of all those things. You have to deal with your family. You have to deal with people around you who aren't business owners and don't understand that it takes a different level of commitment to own the business as opposed to just having a job. And there's certainly jobs that are difficult as well. And this applies to that too. But, sometimes the people around you, they're not as committed. So can you stay committed when everyone around you is not? That's mental. All that's mindset, right? So you have to be able to have a certain level of mental conditioning to be consistent, to put out content consistently, to put out products consistently. All of that is mental conditioning. And when you get that down pat, typically that's when the results come. But the results don't come until the conditioning matches where you want to be. So to summarize, I just want to go over a few points as to why mental conditioning matters and why you might want to prioritize it in your life. Number one, and I touched on this earlier, you're not used to doing the thing that you want to do, right? If I want to run a marathon, I've never ran a marathon before. I not only have to condition my physical body, but I also have to condition my mind to understand that if I'm going to run in 26 miles, I can't quit after a quarter mile, right? My mindset has to be one that of a person that completes 26 miles. So I've got to condition my mind to not only reach that goal, but also in a way exceed it when it comes to the time and the type of performance I want to have. I don't just want to finish the marathon, especially if running is your profession. You don't just want to finish marathons. You know, people who invest in you or sponsors, they expect you to win these things. So it's not only getting to 26 miles, but it's actually getting to 26 miles and then dominating 26 miles and beating most of the people that you're racing against. That's a different mindset. Okay. So you have to start thinking like that now. And you got to condition your mind to not only get to point A, but get to point B and so on. Number two, it takes time to install the mindset that you want. You're not going to get there overnight. And a lot of people are impatient because they want to do things right away. You're not going to get there overnight. You're going to get there over time. And so if you're patient enough to go through the steps and listen to the audios and then speak over your life and speak over the things that you want to do and be ready to do so and be ready to do it for a year. Are you willing to take a year to reprogram your mind? I'm not saying it's going to take you that long. For some people, it doesn't take them that long. But if you're willing to do it for a year and decide to do it for a year, the results you will find will come almost of themselves because your mind you'll just spring into action. It won't take as much to get you going because your mind is in a different place. And then that leads me into point number 3, and that is mental conditioning as a lifelong skill. You don't just do it for the game or the event, you do it for life. And when you decide to do it for life and you make this a practice, it won't take you as long to get into the right mindset because you're used to it. Just like someone who works out, even though you may, even if you change sports, maybe you're really good at basketball or baseball, but now you want to play football. It's a different sport, so it requires a different level of training, but you're also not starting from zero because you're already a high performance athlete. So you're starting from a different baseline than a lot of people are. But if you view this as a lifelong skill, it won't take you as long moving forward. So thank you so much for listening. My name is Martin Williams. If you're ready to take your mental game to the next level, I have a few openings for one-on-one coaching. Also have created a challenge called the 3-Day Mental Cleanup Challenge. And that is for people, especially men, who are ready to clean up their thoughts and go to the next level in all areas of their life. So if that's you, that sounds like you, click on that link and that challenge will show up in your inbox. But for now, my name is Martin Williams. Thanks so much for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to Playbook Radio. If this episode helped you, please share it with family and friends. For more about Playbook strategies, please go to GamePlanPlaybook.com.